Hey, howdy ho! Welcome back to the Elder Wurm Reviews. And today we're here to start our review of The Mandalorian. I am Rigel, and this is Finn, my special guest. And we're here to cover the entire episode, so if you don't want any spoilers, I would not stay for the video until you've gone and watched the first episode.
Spoiler alert, you've been warned.
So, The Mandalorian, this is episode 1 that we're talking about. I was actually very, very impressed with the show, with the first episode.
I think it's the best piece that Disney Star Wars has put out since Rogue One. No spoiler for me, as I'm not a big fan of the J.J. Abrams universe, but this was fantastic. And I think that this gives us a lot of hope for hopefully episode 9 will be great in December.
Yeah, I agree. I have found that when Star Wars takes a step back and does the individual stories, they just seem to be magnificent. And I wonder what it would take for that to translate to the movies. Because the universe itself is amazing, but we as the fans are always clamoring for a good story.
As great as this one is, and they're centering around the Mandalorian and that tribe, I know there was always speculation and rumor of a Boba Fett movie. If this doesn't give us cause for that, I don't think anything ever will.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I thought the episode was paced well. It had a lot of meaning to it. You learned a little bit about the Mandalorians, and it felt like a personal story that you could relate to. And so
it was very strong. It was fantastic. I loved it, and I look forward to seeing the rest of the series.
Yeah, so we're about to jump into spoilers. This is your last chance to skip out on this part here, go back and watch the episode, and then come back and listen to our thoughts on it.
And I will say ahead of time, if you haven't watched it or if you're thinking about watching it, I definitely suggest going to watch it. So if you haven't seen it, like you said, go watch it now. Come back.
Absolutely. All right, so the beginning of the episode I thought was very, very cool. They started off in a bar where the Mandalorian came into, and it was cool because you come in thinking that he's here to kill these guys who are threatening the Mandalorian, or that you're not quite sure what he's doing there at that point.
Well, you figure he's probably coming for a bounty, and they play it off like maybe he's out after one of these hooligans who are harassing one of the patrons. But we find out shortly thereafter that may not be the case.
Yeah, I was like, you want that kind of a twist, and then when you get it, it's satisfying.
It's so much satisfying. And on that note, something that we discussed when we were watching it is how aggressive Disney was with the fight scene.
Yeah,
it was more violent than I thought it would be. So people die.
Kudos to them.
This is no Greedo shot first.
Yeah.
Nope. Yeah, they went for the throat. They went for the jugular, and it was fantastic.
And it really gave you an insight as to what you can look forward to in this show with just what they were willing to do in that one scene.
Oh, sure.
So
it was. The introduction to the Mandalorian, I thought, was fantastic, too. It's a throwback to the Boba Fett Mandalorian we're used to. He's very calm, cool, collected, and calculating. Doesn't say much, and he's all about the business.
Yep. So you find out that the blue guy is actually his bounty. And I love the line, I can either take you warm, or I can take you cold. It's like the only thing he says to him. And, kudos to the Mad Maxes of the universe where they tell a story with little words. I love it when a character can do that, and totally an example.
And that's the Mandalorian that we're all used to. What's fantastic is after this scene, we get that Mandalorian for a little while, but throughout the first episode, we get the more personal story to him, where we start to get the tie, which is what Raj was talking about, is that Disney is giving us more of an individual storyline to some of these characters that we haven't had that opportunity before.
Yep. And so he takes the bounty, and he's taking him back to his ship. And one of the things that I really liked, and it's the little things that I love about movies. It's when he goes to get the basically what would be the cab of Star Wars.
The taxi, the Uber.
Uber. And he's like, I don't want a droid.
Yeah, but this is the latest model. This is the latest model skimmer. It's fantastic. No droids.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, the guy who ends up taking him there, he was telling me, and I didn't recognize him at first, and I can't remember his name offhand.
Brian Posehn.
Yeah. excellent. I love that guy.
He's excellent from Big Bang Theory. If you haven't seen Knights of Badassdom, another fantastic.
I'm a big fan of that movie.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
He's great in everything he does. His musical stuff. He's all things nerdy.
Yeah, so totally awesome. They did that with a few cameos throughout this show so far. I mean, it's pretty cool. So they get to the ship, and like you find out right away that there's something lurking in the ice.
Well, they had one piece of advice: don't go on the ice.
Yeah, stay off the ice. And it was, man, they were serious.
Yep.
And like for a Star Wars universe, this creature was totally new. Like I didn't see it coming.
It's very Kraken-esque underneath the ice, and I love the planet. Very much felt like a good throwback to Hoth, and gives you kind of that feel of the way that A New Hope, was it A New Hope or one of the other? Can't remember which film started out on Hoth. How big of a Star Wars fan am I?
Well, I mean, was it The Last Jedi? No, I can't remember which one it was. One of them started off on Hoth. You guys can tell us in the comments, and then
and make us look bad.
There you go. Anyways, but yeah, I agree. It definitely felt very rustic in a way. Just the way that the Mandalorian handled himself throughout the whole scene. I mean, to shocking the creature, to flying out of there, and then they're inside the ship. Doesn't say a word,
nothing
to this guy, and it's an awkward moment in a good way because he's a bounty hunter. He doesn't need to talk to the guy, and then he lets the guy go down into the ship and fall into his own trap.
So it's a typical capture. Whenever you have somebody who's been captured, that they're trying to talk their way out of things, they're trying to ease their way out, talk their way out, however they can get out of the situation. And of course, he pulls the age-old, I gotta go to the bathroom.
Right.
And I'm not gonna go anywhere. Maybe you'll not letting the handcuffs off. And of course, he just lets him wander around the ship, and he goes below deck.
Yep. And so it was a very cool scene. And then like he gets back to where he sees the other people that have been frozen basically.
In the carbonite. Yeah. The other carbonite slabs. I think there was 3 other individuals.
Yep. And then the Mandalorian just pops up, boom, pushes him right into it.
Yep. And that's it.
It was slick.
He's captured.
Yeah. So it was super good. It shows you that he means business. He's not messing around. All the Hollywood antics that you see these days, it just didn't show in a scene like this.
Yeah, it didn't need it. Didn't drag it out.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. I'm in my ship. I've got my bounty. We're in space. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let him walk him and talk himself into my trap. And he did.
Yeah, it was good stuff. So he takes him then to return the bounty, and it's very straightforward. He gets his money for it. And then he goes to the guild. Now, they didn't really expand too far as to, like, what the guild is, other than it's just a bounty guild.
It's the Bounty Hunters Guild. Yeah.
But when they sat down, they're sitting with Carl Weathers. Very cool cameo. He is the what do they call him in that? Not the guild leader, but
no, he is the guild leader. His name's Grief Karga.
Okay.
So yeah, he's the guild leader, and he divvies out all the bounties. So he begins speaking with the Mandalorian on congratulating him on getting all of his bounties, and then offering him what other ones he had.
Yep. And so he was just like, I'm going to take all the bounties, and then he's like, well, we got to leave missions for the other guys.
Yeah, these are all we have, and they're not paying that much. And the Mandalorian asked him, well, how much is the most? What, 5,000 credits? That's not even enough to buy gas.
Yeah. So it's at that point that he gives him a bigger bounty, one that's got deep pockets. It's kind of under the radar. It's off the books.
And it's so dark that they can't even give him one of the pods for the bounty.
Yeah, and what's cool is he portrays that they betray that the bounty is 50 years old. I thought that was a very cool
We hadn't gotten there quite yet.
Yeah, this is true. I'm jumping ahead. So he takes the bounty, the little card, and he
to go meet the client.
Yeah, actually before that, he actually takes that medal that he had. And he had it turned into a piece of shoulder armor. Was that before or after that? It might have been after. Okay, so
he takes the card to go meet the client.
Yes. So when they walked into the room, actually, I got a Dooku feeling from that.
You definitely see that there's an older gentleman that he's wearing a very large medallion that represents the Empire. And you can't tell who he is. I wasn't sure if it was somebody we should know or not, and we actually had to look it up. And all they refer to him as is the client.
Yeah.
And he's surrounded by some of the stormtroopers that are very beaten up. You can tell they've been in disarray. It was at this point we started discussing that we weren't 100% when this took place. I don't do spoilers. He doesn't do spoilers, so we hadn't done any kind of research. And when we found out, we had to check at that point. This takes, for those of you that don't know, it takes place a few years after The Last Jedi.
Yep. And so
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so interesting place to put this show. I think
Sure.
I think definitely that puts it after the 6th episode, so it's before episode 7.
Before the J.J. Abrams universe kicks off.
Yep. And so I guess that kind of makes us a prequel to their whole universe. Is what they're going for?
We're not sure. I'm curious to see if they're going to do any tie-ins to any of the characters that we've seen in episodes 7 and 8.
Yep.
Maybe not. I think there's a lot of potential for that.
Yeah. And so so the client delivers him the idea of what the bounty is, and he's very vague about it. It's almost like he just doesn't and I couldn't tell if he didn't have the information or if he didn't want to give him all the information.
Well, when he asked for the disc, he said, "Well, I don't have that either." So the Mandalorian doesn't even know who he's looking for. All he's got is a tracking fob, and then the only information they would provide him or could provide him with was the last 4 digits of his code, whatever code that is, and it's his age, which is 50 years.
Yeah. So I thought that was very interesting. And so he takes the bounty, and at that point, now he's off to go take on this mission. But before he gets there, he stops with the money that he got from the bounty.
Well, he didn't get money. He
Or
actually...
the credits or whatever. Or the piece of metal.
They gave him a piece of Beskin steel, which... I think it's Beskin, is that?
I think that's what it's called, Baskin Steel.
Yeah, and it's apparently it holds a very, and again, I'm no super nerd, so I know I've already screwed up some of the stuff in the video so far. You have to forgive me, but the Beskin Steel apparently means a lot to the Mandalorian tribe, and he gets an ingot of it. It's about the size of a iPhone or Samsung phone or whatever phone. And he tells him that there will be more on this, a lot more of this on payment when you turn your bounty in. I think it's interesting here to note that when they tell you the age of the character, we're looking back and forth at each other and we're trying to figure out who it might be. As many of the spoilers we tried to avoid, you did see some, and you're wondering, is it this person or a relative of these people? And what you find out in the end's a lot different.
Yeah, so a pleasant surprise. I was, and so as we continue forward, he takes that Baskin Steel. They turn it into a shoulder pad. I thought that was pretty cool.
He meets another Mandalorian, what we assume is another a female Mandalorian who's a smith of sorts. She forges it into a pauldron for him, and then the excess they'll use for what they call them, the foundlings.
I think so.
Which there's some flashbacks there. I think that's going to be part of the major overarching story, and it looks very interesting.
I thought so too. It was quick, and so I think that they're going to definitely wrap back around to that and who this guy is.
It's definitely just enough to make you want more. You want to know more, and it's to give you a little bit.
Yep. So he takes that from there, and it's at that point that now he's off to go after the bounty. And so when he makes his way to this new planet, which they don't actually express what planet this is very well.
Right. The Star Wars universe is so vast that there are so many indistinct planets that this isn't a planet that they name or have given a name to, that at least that I'm aware of. Maybe there is one, and we'll find out that it's more relevant in the future. But as of right now,
yeah. So as when he gets there, though, he meets this guy who didn't really give his name, but very cool. Nick Nolte was perfect here. And it's very, very, very well spoken, very articulate. But as
I deem it so.
Yeah, I have spoken. And as he gets there, the first thing that happens is he's attacked by these tadpole-like creatures that gave birth to piranhas.
Yeah, they look like giant tadpoles with little T-Rex arms and legs. They almost look like Funko Pop versions of the Rancor. They're very interesting.
Yeah, and so and it's wrecking him at first, but then this guy comes in to save him, which I liked the blend of CGI and what do they call that?
The prosthetics and the makeups, the actual costumes, the hard makeups. It's not just CGI.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah, it really lends a good feel to the original Star Wars. kind of not necessarily puppetry, but good makeups.
Yep. And they did that with the transitions too. I thought that was really good. They used the old school transitions.
That's definitely, that's one of the things that the J.J. Abrams universe did very well, that I was very pleased with when they came out, is the cinematography and the transitions that made it feel very akin to the original Star Wars movies that we're all used to and love.
Yep.
As opposed to the first 3 chronologically we do not speak of.
Anyways, he meets this guy here. They get to know each other. He's never met a Mandalorian though, and so he's very interested in helping him. And at first you're not sure why he's so keen on helping him. He helps train him how to ride one of those creatures, which happened kind of fast. I thought
it did. That's one of the points that was a stress for me, is that they tended to stretch out the whole writing experience too long, but then make it too short, like it was some big process that you had to accomplish, and he overcame it super quick. I think it could have been made much more easier, like riding a wild stallion of some sort. You saddle it, break it in fairly quickly. Maybe it's been saddled before. I think they stretched it out, and they tried to drop a key bit of knowledge talking about what was the name of the giant creature?
Oh, the Mythosaur.
The Mythosaur, about his ancestors had ridden the giant Mythosaur, and then, suddenly he connects with this beast, and now he can ride it.
Yeah, and that one line really pulled that scene together, in my opinion.
It did, and again, that's probably the weakest scene in the entire episode for me, is just because they stretched that little bit out, but it's like they wanted a reason to give you this little bit of knowledge about the Mandalorian as a tribe, their past, which I'm very intrigued by, but I didn't think it fit the scene.
Right. I can agree there. So he learns to ride this creature, and then the two of them then ride off to go, because he knows where the bounty's at. And so he wants to, take him there. And it's at that point he then reveals that the reason that he's led the Mandalorian here is because the land has been taken over by these people that have really brought a lot of chaos to the land.
So it's not so much them as all of the bounty hunters and other people who are trying to get rich or to find these people. It's just caused a lot of chaos in the land, and he tells the Mandalorian that most of the people who come to this planet come here for peace, and this ain't peace. So that's why he's helping him, is to get peace.
Yep. So it's one means to another, and so he at that point leaves him, and then we're into the final act of the episode, and that's where he first gets his little spyglass out and sees another hunter droid.
He's trying to take in a lay of what he's going to be up against, and it's at that time there's another bounty hunter that happens to be a droid that shows up, IG-11.
Yeah, and so I always I liked it because I don't see a lot of movies where you see where the bounty hunter goes to do his thing, but somebody else is already there.
Beat him to the punch.
You're like, oh, wait a minute. And so he gets when he gets down there, he realizes that they're part of the same guild.
Yeah.
And he's like,
part of the bounty hunters.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute, come on, man. We need to be working together on this. And the Hunter Droid's confused. He's like, so we're going to split the bounty. And he asks something else. And he's like, dude, can we not talk about this right now? And the droid's like, I need an answer.
Yeah, before we can move forward, I need a definitive answer. Yeah, it was great. At first, he demanded the key fob, and he's like, "Well, you don't have the bounty yet. You are correct. How about we split it? I accept."
Right. So it gave him a little bit of a personality, but at the same time, it felt very droid-like. And so, for a droid, I really liked him. I approved.
I thought they gave him a very unique personality. It wasn't dry at all. He was very robotic, but yet had some comedy, but not too much. A little bit of humanistic AI, I guess. Mm-hmm. I think the best part about him for me, not only was his attitude, but the way they animated the fight sequence. John Wick, look out.
Yeah.
It was very fun. Not only did it feel like his character was very good with firearms and marksmen, it was also very droid-like. The combat sequence was fantastic.
It really was. And I love, one thing that I like when it comes to comedy in a serious movie or show like this is when the character itself naturally brings on the comedy without trying to be comical.
Right, he's not trying to be funny.
Yeah.
He's being himself, and just the situation lent it. It was written fantastically
Yeah,
well.
I love that about it. So,
Speaking of writing, Jon Favreau.
yeah.
Wow.
Man, I didn't realize that Jon Favreau was behind this project.
I did not either when I had first knew that this was coming out, and then I was listening to a radio station and they mentioned it, and I quickly changed the station, anti-spoilers, but anytime I see anything Jon Favreau's in, it's going to be good.
Yep, I think it's just and ironically, I did a review on The Chef not too long ago.
If you haven't seen that, you should, after this video, immediately go and watch that one.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome, and man, it's just so impressive. And he did Iron Man too.
Yeah, the original Iron Man, which in my opinion of the Iron Man series for the MCU, I think it was the strongest of the films. Of course, the origin stories are, but it was fantastic.
Yeah, so they get into this fight, and you think that they're just screwed. And the droid is constantly like, I'm going to self-destruct. And he's like, Stop
it!
So,
okay, can I self-destruct now? No. We're going to shoot ourselves out of here. Shoot our way out of here. They start to do that, and then immediately, we're in a hard place. Starting this countdown sequence.
Stop!
It was great.
It was hilarious. And so I'm thinking, like, how are they going to get out of this? This is crazy.
Well, they downed all the first bad guys, if you will, the other pretty quickly, pretty easily, and you think that they dispatched them. They should be able to get out of this. Not the case. There's a lot that show up, and they're quickly outgunned.
Yeah. So so suddenly out of nowhere, they come out with this like super cannon that's like a machine gun laser
almost
cannon,
like a Gatling laser cannon.
Yeah, and so that you think that it's about to just wreck them, and then man, Scorpion style, just turn around and get over here.
Yeah, lassos the cannon, throws the gunner off, shoots I think a few people in the process, then mounts on it, and it's game on after that.
Yeah, he shoots everybody. There's a funny scene in the mix of that where the one of the up on the rooftop, the first couple of guys they shoot, one of the guys jumps before he gets shot.
He's not even getting shot yet, but he's already jumping.
He's like, I'm out of here. So then they pan out and they look, and everybody's just dead.
Yeah, there's nobody.
And a unique moment there. It really showed that the Mandalorian does not care. Like, he will kill anyone that gets in his way.
Right, he's about his word and his bounty. If he tells you he's going to get bounty, he's going to get the bounty, and he's going to do whatever it takes to get that bounty.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely awesome. It's at that point then, he can
we stop the self-destruct now?
Right. Yes, we'll stop it. Like, it's funny that he waits till now he's been shot, and now he's not self-destructing.
The droid, again, with the personality. Very good.
Yeah, so they then make their way into the palace, or the back part there, and they're kind of rummaging through things, and it's at that point they finally find a little white pod.
That's got whoever they're looking for.
Yeah, and they go to pop it open, and there it is. It's Baby Yoda! I was like, oh, sweet. That's fantastic.
I was surprised. Unfortunately, it had been spoiled for me a little bit because you can't avoid those things. But it was awesome. So they had an exchange about the age and how it fooled a lot of people. So it was a good surprise.
Funny thing, actually. On Facebook, I had seen a lot of the Baby Yoda memes. But for some reason, 2 and 2 just didn't connect. I just didn't pick up on the fact
I didn't catch it until I wondered where it was. Honestly, I thought it was from one of the first 3 movies, the heavy CGI movies, that I had missed something. And it wasn't until I saw some references and people talking about Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian, and I was like, dang it.
Yep. So, yeah, it's definitely awesome. What a very good way to end up the first episode. Now you're intrigued. And there's even a moment at the end there where he makes that connection with the Baby Yoda.
Well, it's before that. It's interesting. So we discussed earlier when he's discussing the terms of the contract that they want the subject alive. And the Imperial representative, the client, if you will, makes the point that you can bring him back, you can bring the subject back dead, your bounty will just be less. The IG-11 made note that he was supposed to die.
Yeah.
This thing was supposed to be brought back dead.
Yeah.
Before he has a chance to take it, though,
the Mandalorian shoots him. And I was like, wow. So now it's so interesting because it's like, well, then who gave the orders to kill him is there another client involved here?
And I think there is.
I think that there is.
And so that may be some foreshadowing. What's interesting is it's at that point that you still think that the Mandalorian is your typical Mandalorian bounty hunter that we're used to seeing or reading or hearing about, that's just cold and calculating, and he's going to do what he needs to do to get his bounty and the best bounty. So he's going to get more money. And it's after that that they have the an E.T. moment.
E.T. moment. I was just thinking that. I was like, that's what it is.
It is, absolutely. so I'm not sure what's going on there. Are we going to see a softer Mandalorian in the future?
No, I mean, it's hard to say no to a Baby Yoda. I mean, I'm just saying.
Baby Yoda.
Yeah, it's Baby Yoda. So, anyways, wonderful episode. It started out great. I can't wait till episode 2. It might be a little while before we can get that up on the channel, but we're going to watch the whole series. We're going to get everything done, and who knows? Well, hopefully we'll be ready to review the last episode by the time that it actually airs. And so I plan on doing a lot more reviews on the channel, including my next show that I want to review, The Orville. I'm going to kind of blend those in together. I'll do them, in between. And so, you're going to see Finn here on all of my Mandalorian reviews. We're very excited to keep going with this series. If you have anything you want to say about the show, you want to let us know how you felt, or conspiracies, we love conspiracies, just let us know your general thoughts. Like and subscribe to the channel if you could. That would be fantastic. It would really help me bring more reviews to you. And we will see you guys in the future. This is the Elder Wurm Reviews out.